The sun slipped through the thin curtains as Maya stirred beneath her soft blanket. She blinked awake and sat up, her small feet brushing the cool floor. The room smelled faintly of lavender, the same scent her father used on her pillow each night. She rubbed her eyes, thinking of the new school day ahead. Her heart fluttered with a mix of excitement and nerves. Today would be her first day at Sunflower Elementary, and she wished more than anything to be brave in the living room. Marcus hummed a gentle tune as he handed a plate of warm pancakes to Maya. The pancakes were shaped like little stars, just the way she liked. Marcus had woken early to cook her favorite breakfast. He poured syrup in a careful spiral so that each bite would taste sweet. Maya sat at the small wooden table, her legs swinging as she focused on eating every last bite. You ready for today?" Marcus asked in a soft voice. He took a sip of his coffee, careful not to spill. His eyes shone with pride as he watched Maya, who nodded shyly between mouthfuls of pancake. She looked up at him with hopeful eyes, a smile beginning to spread. Across her face, he set his cup down and reached across the table, placing his hand gently over hers. "Remember," he said, "you are strong and kind. Make friends, help others, and always be yourself." His words felt like a warm blanket wrapping around her heart. Maya squeezed his hand back, her worries melting away in the comfort of his. Voiced after breakfast, Marcus helped Maya into her favorite dress. It was bright yellow with little white flowers printed all over it. He smoothed the fabric down her tiny shoulders and tied a bow at the back. Maya turned in front of the mirror. Watching the bow flutter when she moved, she grinned at her reflection, feeling like a sunflower blooming toward the light. "I knew this dress would look perfect on you," Marcus said, zipping up the back. He leaned closer and whispered, "You shine just like these flowers." Maya felt a little proud as she twirled, making the dress flare out around her knees. She imagined herself dancing across a field of sunflowers, tall and bright under a clear sky. At the door, Marcus picked up Maya's backpack and slipped it over her small shoulders. It was light pink with sparkly hearts that caught the morning light. Maya bounced on her toes as he adjusted the straps. The backpack held her new notebooks, her favorite pencil case, and a lunchbox with her peanut butter and jelly sandwich. "Cut into triangles." "Let's go," Marcus said, lifting Maya into his arms for a quick hug. She wrapped her arms around his neck, burying her face in his shirt. The fabric smelled like clean citrus, a scent he used to hide the smell of coffee. Maya closed her eyes, breathing in the comforting smell. They stepped outside together. The air was cool and fresh. A few birds sang from the trees lining their quiet street. Marcus held Maya's hand as they walked down the sidewalk. He lifted small branches out of her way and pointed out a robin hopping on the ground. Maya giggled, and Marcus laughed softly, sound like a gentle breeze. On the way to school, they passed neat lawns and cozy houses. Marcus pointed out his old bicycle, leaning against a fence, a bright red with a basket in front. "I found that bicycle when I was your age," he said. "I rode it all around my neighborhood, racing friends and chasing dreams." Maya listened. With wide eyes, she imagined her father as a young boy racing past fences with laughter echoing behind him. When they reached the school gate, Marcus knelt down to look at Maya face to face. The school building was tall compared to her, its brick walls warm in the morning sun. A colorful banner above the door read, "Welcome back, students." Children buzzed across the yard, greeting each other with waves and laughter. Maya's heart skipped as she spotted groups of kids standing together. Some looked at her with curiosity, others whispered to their friends. Her grip on her father's hand tightened a little. Marcus noticed and gave her hand a reassuring squeeze. "You are ready," he said softly. "Go make today wonderful." Maya took a deep breath. She straightened her shoulders and gave her father a determined nod. She let go of his hand and started walking toward her new classroom. Marcus stood and watched her, his chest swelling with pride. Before she reached the door, Maya turned once to look at him. He raised his hand in a small wave. She waved back, her smile returning. Then she stepped through the door and into the bright hallway, her backpack bouncing gently with each step. Marcus stayed outside for a moment longer, watching the schoolyard. He remembered his own first day at school, how his stomach had fluttered, how he had looked for a friendly face. He hoped Maya would find friends quickly. And he knew that even if the day brought tough moments, she would learn and grow, pulling his jacket tighter against the morning chill. Marcus whispered to himself, "Be kind, be strong." He turned to leave, thinking of the phone call he promised to make later to check in on her. As he walked away, he carried a silent prayer that Maya's day would be filled with kindness and new friendships. Inside the classroom, Maya found her seat by a window. She sat down, unpacking her notebook and pencil case. She traced the lines on the wooden desk, imagining it was a paper field ready for her words and drawings. The teacher, Ms. Rivera, greeted each child with a warm smile and a friendly good morning. Maya felt a flutter of happiness at the kindness in Ms. Rivera's voice. She straightened up and raised her hand politely when the teacher asked about their summer vacation. Maya spoke softly about visiting her grandmother's house by the sea and picking seashells on the sandy shore. The other children listened, nodding as she spoke. As the morning moved along, Maya's nervousness began to fade. She learned a new song about the days of the week. She helped a classmate tie her shoelaces. She even shared a joke about a dancing banana that made her table laugh. Every time she laughed, she felt the memory of her father's gentle encouragement wrap around her like a soft blanket. Between lessons, Maya thought of Marcus and the breakfast stars he had cooked for her. She remembered his words, "You are strong and kind." She realized she felt both of those things growing inside her. At recess, Maya stepped out into the sunny yard. She held her head high, scanning the playground for somewhere to play. She spotted a group playing hopscotch and took a deep breath. Gathering her courage, she walked over and asked if she could join. One by one, the children nodded and made space in the game. Maya jumped into the square, her laughter rising up to meet the warm sun. She felt the lightness of being included, the joy of making new friends. She glanced toward the school building, imagining her father watching from afar. She wanted to tell him how brave she was, how kind her new friends had been. When the bell rang, Maya returned to her classroom with rosy cheeks and a bright smile. Ms. Rivera praised her for her politeness and her help with the hopscotch game. Maya sat down at her desk, proud and happy. Soon it would be time to go home. Maya wondered what Marcus would say when she told him about her new friends and the funny dancing banana joke. She imagined his proud smile, the way he hugged her and called her my brave sunflower. As the morning sunlight moved across the classroom floor, Maya felt a gentle warmth in her heart. She knew the day was only beginning, but she carried her father's words and love with her. In that moment, Maya understood that no matter what happened, she had the strength and kindness to face each new step, and that made all the difference. Maya stepped into the classroom and felt her stomach tighten. Rows of desks stood in neat lines, each one topped with a bright name tag. She chose the desk nearest the window, hoping the sunlight would make her feel safe. As she slipped off her backpack, she noticed other children looking her way. Some whispered to their neighbors, their eyes darting back to her. Maya's heart pounded, but she took a deep breath, remembering her father's words. Be strong and be kind. The teacher, Ms. Rivera, stood at the front of the room. She greeted every child with a warm smile. "Good morning," she said, her voice gentle and clear.
Ow!
"Welcome to Sunflower Elementary. I'm so happy to see you all ready to learn." Maya offered a shy wave, but some of the children only stared. A boy at the back nudged his friend and pointed toward Maya. The friend giggled, and Maya felt a sting in her chest. When Ms. Rivera asked everyone to introduce themselves, Maya waited for her turn. One by one, children stood and said their names. "I'm Jason," a tall boy said, his voice loud. "I like dinosaurs." Another child said, "I'm Emily," and the class cheered for her. When Maya stood, her legs trembled. She forced a small smile and said, "My name is Maya." A few seconds of silence followed, and a girl whispered, "Why does her skin look different?" Maya shut her eyes and tried to ignore the whisper. She sat back down, cheeks hot. During the next activity, Ms. Rivera asked pairs to share stories about their families. A boy turned toward Maya. "What does your dad do?" he asked, leaning in close. Maya opened her mouth to answer, but before she could speak, another child said, "Your daddy doesn't look like ours." The words felt sharp and cold. Maya's heart flipped over. She managed to whisper, "He works at the library." "But," the boy sneered. "No, I mean, your daddy looks funny." The group around them laughed. Maya's hands shook as she packed away her story card. The teacher noticed the commotion and came over. "Is everything okay?" Ms. Rivera asked softly. The children quickly quieted but did not offer an answer. Maya just nodded and looked down at her shoes. By mid-morning, Maya's throat was dry, and her stomach a knot of worry. The teacher called for a spelling test, and Maya watched as her classmates wrote words neatly, their pencils scratching paper. When it was her turn, she wrote sun, flower, and kind with care. But she felt the eyes of the other students on her back. She could almost hear them whispering, "What is she doing here? And she doesn't belong." When the bell rang for recess, some children dashed outside, laughing and shouting. Maya gathered her things slowly, glancing toward the door. She wished she could run away too. Inside her bag was a small note her father had written. "You are brave, Maya. I believe in you." She touched the folded paper, letting the words give her courage. Outside, the playground was alive with children playing tag, swinging on monkey bars, and talking in small circles. Maya stepped onto the pavement and paused. A group of girls stood near the swing set. One of them looked at Maya and said, "Hey, new girl, you can't play with us." The other girls giggled. Another girl added, "My dad says your dad is strange." Maya's breath caught as the words washed over her. She realized they were talking about her father being black. Different from most of the other parents at school, Maya tried to walk past them, but one of the girls stepped in front of her. "Where do you think you're going?" she asked. The girl's friends closed in, forming a tight circle. Maya's heart pounded so loud she feared everyone would hear it. "I'm just going to get some air," Maya whispered, her voice trembling. "No." "One wants you here," said the first girl, her voice low and cold. She pushed Maya gently on the shoulder. Maya stumbled back, nearly losing her balance. Tears filled her eyes. The playground noises, the laughter, the shouts felt distant. All she could hear was the push and the harsh whispers accusing her of not belonging. Maya backed away and ran to the edge of the playground, where a low brick wall separated the yard from the grass. She climbed up onto the wall and sat down, her feet dangling. The wall was rough under her legs, but she didn't care. She covered her face with her hands and let the tears flow. Each tear felt heavy, filled with sadness and confusion. A voice called softly, "Maya." She looked up to see Ms. Rivera standing nearby, her arms folded with concern. "Would you like to join our reading circle over here?" the teacher asked. A few children were sitting in a semicircle on the grass, books open in their laps. Ms. Rivera patted the grass beside her. "We'd love for you to come." Maya hesitated, but the kindness in the teacher's eyes gave her hope. She climbed down from the wall and walked toward the circle. A boy named Liam smiled at her and patted the ground again. "Come sit here," he said. Maya sat carefully, holding her knees close. Liam opened his book to the first page and began reading aloud. His voice was calm and clear, and soon the words painted pictures in Maya's minefields of golden wheat, rivers winding through the hills, and birds soaring in the sky. Maya listened, her tears drying as she focused on the story. The other children took turns reading, each voice different, but all friendly. When it was Maya's turn, she stood and read a few lines she recognized. The sun rose over the valley, and the day began with promise. Her voice was soft, but the words felt true in that moment. She looked at her classmates, and they nodded encouragement. No one laughed or whispered. They only listened. After the reading, Ms. Rivera asked if anyone wanted to share their favorite part. Maya raised her hand. "I like the part where the sun gives hope to everyone," she said. Her voice was small but firm. "What?" Liam nodded and said, "I like that part too." The others murmured in agreement. Maya felt her chest swell with warmth. For a moment she forgot the playground bullies and remembered her father's promise, "You belong." Soon the recess bell rang again. The reading circle ended, and children drifted back to games. Maya stayed beside Miss Rivera for a moment, then gathered her things. She felt more steady now, like a small boat finding its anchor after a storm. She walked across the playground with a bit more confidence, though her heart still thumped. Back in the classroom, Maya sat at her desk, unpacking her pencil case. A girl named Sarah slid into the seat beside her. "I'm sorry about those girls," Sarah whispered. "They can be mean sometimes." Maya looked at Sarah's kind face and nodded. "Thank you," she replied. Sarah offered Maya a sticker shaped like a smiling sun. "Here," she said. "I thought you might like this." Maya's eyes lit up as she accepted the sticker. She stuck it on her notebook and smiled. During the last lesson of the day, Miss Rivera told a story about a brave lion who learned that kindness could conquer fear. The children listened closely, and Maya felt as if the story was written just for her. When the lion roared, the wind shook the tall grass, but the small birds continued to sing. Maya thought of herself as one of those birds, small but brave and full of song. The final bell rang, and children packed their bags for home. Maya collected her backpack, careful not to lose the sticker inside. As she headed toward the classroom door, she spotted the girls who had bullied her earlier. They stood in a circle, whispering. One of them looked up, met Maya's eyes for a moment, then looked away. Maya walked past without speaking, her chin held high. Outside, the afternoon sun was warm on her face. Maya found her father waiting by the school gate. He waved as she approached, his smile wide and proud. Maya ran into his arms, and Marcus lifted her off the ground in a gentle hug. She buried her face in his shoulder and let out a shaky sigh. "Today was hard," she whispered. Marcus held her close. "I know, sweetheart," he said softly, "but you were so brave." Maya nodded and pulled back to look at him. Her eyes were red from crying, but her smile was real. She had faced her first bullying experience and found kindness, both from her teacher and a new friend. She felt a spark of hope for tomorrow. Together, they walked home, Maya's hand warm in her father's. The day had been challenging, but in her heart, she carried the promise of brighter days ahead. Maya stepped through the front door, her small shoulders hunched and her shoes scuffing the floor. The house was quiet except for a gentle hum from the refrigerator. She dropped her backpack by the couch and sank onto its soft cushions. Her cheeks were streaked with tears, and her chest felt heavy. Marcus, in his favorite blue shirt, looked up from the kitchen where he was washing dishes. He set aside the sponge and towel and crossed the room quickly. "Sweetheart, what happened?" he asked, kneeling beside her. He brushed a stray lock of hair from her face and held her hand gently. Maya looked into his kind brown eyes and tried to speak, but her voice caught in her throat. She swallowed hard and whispered, "They said my daddy is strange. They said I don't belong." Marcus's heart tightened. He drew her into his arms and held her close. The world outside seemed to hush in that moment, leaving only her small sobs against his chest. He rocked her slowly, humming a soft tune he used to sing when she was a baby. Maya wrapped her arms around him, her tears soaking into his shirt. After a few minutes, her breathing steadied. "Tell me everything," Marcus said softly. He led her to the dining table and sat her on a chair while he took a seat across from her. He reached for her hands and waited patiently. Maya rubbed her eyes with her sleeve. "At school today, it pushed me. They laughed. They called me names. Because of you." Her voice trembled. "They said our skin is different. They said I should go away." Marcus squeezed her hands and nodded. "It must have hurt a lot. You were so brave for telling me." He paused, thinking of the right words. "Maya, you belong anywhere you choose. Your heart and your kindness make you belong here, and you always have me to protect you." Maya looked at him, tears still in her eyes, but a spark of hope lighting them. "Will it stop?" she asked softly. "Will they leave me alone?" Kos took a deep breath. "I will do everything I can to make it stop. You should feel safe and happy at school." He stood and moved to the phone on the wall. Maya watched him dial the principal's number. her heart beating fast. On the other end, a calm voice said, "Sunflower Elementary. This is Principal Owens." Marcus introduced himself and explained the bullying. He spoke clearly and kindly, asking for a meeting with the principal and Maya's teacher. Principal Owens agreed to meet the next morning at 9 o'clock in her office. When Marcus hung up, he turned to Maya. "I will talk to the principal and Ms. Rivera tomorrow. We'll make sure everyone understands how important it is to be kind." Maya nodded and let a small smile appear. She felt lighter with her father fighting for her. That night, Marcus tucked Maya into bed. The lavender scent her mother once used still drifted in the air. He sat on the edge of the bed and brushed her hair with his fingers. "You did the right thing by telling me. I'm proud of you for being honest and brave." Maya closed her eyes, imagining a shield of light around her, protecting her in the dark. "Night, my sunflower," Marcus whispered, kissing her forehead. Maya drifted off to sleep, feeling safe. The next morning, dawn's soft light crept through the curtains. Maya woke before her alarm and dressed in her favorite yellow dress again. She tiptoed to the living room where Marcus was making cocoa. He handed her the warm mug, its sweet smell filling the air. "Good morning, brave girl," he said with a smile. Maya sipped the cocoa, feeling its warmth spread through her chest. Liked how her father always made even ordinary mornings feel special. After breakfast, they walked to school together. The air was crisp and birds chirped overhead. Marcus held Maya's hand, his step steady and reassuring. They arrived at the front gate just as teachers were unlocking the doors. Principal Owens waited near the entrance, greeting families. "Good morning, Marcus." "Good morning, Maya," Principal Owens said kindly. She guided them to a small office down the hall. The walls were painted soft green, decorated with drawings from past school events. Ms. Rivera sat in a chair beside a round table. "Maya, Ms. Rivera told me you're a wonderful student." Principal Owens began, smiling at Maya. "I'm sorry for what happened yesterday." Maya nodded shyly. Marcus spoke next. "My daughter deserves to learn and grow without fear. I want to work with you to help the other students understand kindness and respect." Ms. Rivera leaned forward. "We will help, Marcus. I plan to. Talk to the class about empathy and how our words affect others," Principal Owens added. "We'll hold a lesson on kindness today and schedule more in the coming weeks. I also want you, Maya, to know you can always come to me or Ms. Rivera if anything happens." Maya looked around at the two adults who cared about her safety. She felt warm inside. "Thank you," she said softly. They walked back to the classroom. Together, Marcus gave Maya's hand a gentle squeeze before leaving. "I love you, Maya. You're never alone." Maya squeezed back and watched him go, feeling brave. In the classroom, Ms. Rivera gathered the students on the carpet. She held up a simple picture book about friendship. "Today we are going to read about how kindness can change the world," she said. The children settled down, and Maya sat close to the front. As Ms. Rivera read, Maya listened to words like respect, empathy, and courage. She thought of her father's promise and the words he had spoken to her. After the story, Ms. Rivera spoke gently. "Sometimes people feel unsure about things they do not understand. That can make them hurt others by accident. But we can learn to be kind, even when we feel confused. We can ask questions and listen." With open hearts, she asked the class to share ideas about how to show kindness. Hands shot up. One child said, "I can say hello and smile at someone new." Another said, "I will share my crayons when someone needs them." When it was Maya's turn, she stood and said, "I want to help someone who is sad, like when I felt sad yesterday." The other children nodded respectfully. That morning, during art class, the students made kindness cards for each other. Maya drew a bright sun with a smiling face and wrote, "Be kind, be you." She gave it to Liam, who laughed and showed it to the others. For the first time, Maya felt fully included. At recess, some of the same girls who had teased her yesterday approached more quietly. Juan handed her a small bracelet made of yellow beads. "I'm sorry," she mumbled. "I didn't know how hurtful words could be." Maya accepted the bracelet and nodded. "Thank you," she said. The girls smiled shyly and walked away. Maya watched them go, proud of herself for showing forgiveness. When the school day ended, Marcus waited by the gate again. Maya ran into his arms, her face bright with happiness. "Dad, today was different," she said. "They learned about kindness, and I got a kindness card and a bracelet." Marcus beamed. "I'm so proud of you, Maya, and proud of your class for learning too." He lifted her chin and looked into her eyes. "Remember, your voice matters. Your kindness matters." As they walked home, Maya felt lighter than she had in days. The sun shone on them and through her heart. She thought of her father's words, "You belong," and knew they were true. With his love and her own courage, she was ready for any tomorrow. The next morning, Maya woke to soft sunlight on her face. She slipped from her bed and padded down the hallway in her slippers. In the kitchen, Marcus was making a special breakfast: whole wheat toast with honey, fresh banana, and a glass of cool milk. Maya climbed onto a chair and watched him spread the honey in neat lines. He looked at her and smiled. "Ready for today?" he asked. Maya nodded, her heart fluttering with both nerves and hope. Today was the day her father would speak to the whole school. After breakfast, Marcus helped Maya put on her yellow dress again, carefully tied her hair with a ribbon that matched her dress. Maya felt a little thrill at how pretty she looked. "You shine today," Marcus said, brushing a strand of hair back. Maya reached up and touched his cheek. "I feel a little scared," she admitted. Marcus knelt down and looked into her eyes. "It is okay to be scared," he said softly. "Courage is not the absence of fear. It is moving forward, even when you are afraid, and I will be right there with you." They walked to school hand in hand. The path seemed the same, but the air felt different, lighter, as if everyone in the world knew something important was about to happen. When they reached the front gate, Principal Owens stepped forward. She greeted them both warmly. "Morning, Marcus and Maya," she said. "We're ready for you." Inside the school hall, rows of chairs were set up facing a small stage. Students of all ages filled the seats. Some whispered to friends, and many turned curious eyes to Maya and Marcus as they stepped onto the stage. Marcus gave Maya a quick hug and whispered, "Just watch and listen." Maya sat beside him, her small hands folded in her lap. Principal Owens stood at the podium first. She spoke about the importance of respect and kindness. She reminded the students that words have power. They can lift someone up or tear someone down. Maya listened as her classmates nodded and leaned forward. When the principal finished, she introduced Marcus. "Now," she said, "we will hear from someone very special, Maya's father, Marcus." Marcus stood and adjusted the microphone. He looked over the sea of faces: young children, older students, teachers, even some parents who had come to watch. His heart beat fast. But he remembered his promise to Maya to speak up for her and for every child who felt hurt by cruel words. He began in a calm voice. "Good morning, everyone. My name is Marcus, and I am Maya's father." He paused and smiled at Maya, who sat with her chin lifted. "When Maya told me what happened here, my heart broke. She told me that some of her classmates said hurtful things because our skin looks different. They said she did not belong." He paused again, letting the words sink in. Some students looked down, shifting in their seats. "But Maya belongs," he continued. "She is part of this school. She is part of this community. She is part of all of you." He pointed gently. To the students around him, "Each one of us belongs, no matter how we look or where we come from. We all have feelings, and we all need kindness." He told them a simple story about his own childhood. When he was young, he moved to a new neighborhood where he was the only boy of his background. He felt lonely at first. Children stared at him and asked why he looked different, remembered feeling small and unsure. Then one day, a classmate named Sarah came over, held out her hand, and asked him to play. That small act of kindness changed everything. He felt he could belong. "I want us all to be that Sarah," he said, his voice warm. "I want us to reach out and include each other. That is how we grow stronger together." A hush fell over the hall. Even the youngest children sat very still, their eyes wide. Marcus looked at Maya and saw her chest rise and fall steadily. She was watching him, proud and brave. He closed his speech with a simple plea. "Let's promise to use our words to build each other up. Let's promise to speak kindly, to include others, and to stand up when we see someone hurt. 'Cause when we do that, we make our school and our world a better place. He stepped back from the microphone, and for a moment there was silence. Then Principal Owen stood and led a round of applause that rolled across the room like gentle waves. Maya's classmates clapped, some with shy smiles. Marcus turned and lifted Maya into his arms. She whispered "thank you" into his shoulder. After the assembly, students crowded around Marcus and Maya. A boy named Caleb, one of the students who had laughed the first day, stepped forward. He held out his hand. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "I was mean. You spoke well, and I want to be better." Marcus smiled and shook Caleb's hand. Maya smiled back at Caleb, and for the first time, she felt no fear around him. Throughout the day, teachers reminded students of Marcus's words. In math class, Ms. Patel asked students to work in pairs and reminded them to be respectful of each other's ideas. In art, Mr. Gomez encouraged everyone to paint pictures of things that bring them joy. And he placed Maya's picture of a sunflower bright on the classroom wall. Maya felt warmth each time she saw it, a reminder of her father's love. At lunch, Maya sat with a group of children who had been kind to her before. They offered her extra carrots and shared their cookies. One girl tapped Maya on the arm and said, "You're brave." Maya smiled and realized she felt brave. Too brave because her father had stood up, and brave because she had told him the truth. In the afternoon, during a break between classes, Maya saw the group of girls who had pushed her. They looked downcast, as if they carried heavy stones in their pockets. One of them, the girl who had first blocked Maya's way, came close. She looked at Maya's sunflower painting on the wall and whispered, "I like your drawing." Maya nodded, surprised but pleased. The girl added softly, "I want to say I'm sorry. I didn't understand how much words could hurt." Maya felt her heart open. She nodded again, her yellow dress catching the light like a flower turning toward the sun. When the final bell rang, students poured into the hall, chatting and laughing. Maya found her father waiting by the gate. She ran into his arms, and he lifted her up, spinning her gently. "You did amazing today," he said. "I saw how they listened to you." Maya hugged him tight. "It felt good," she said. "It felt like we were all neighbors in a big family." On the walk home, Marcus asked Maya what her favorite part of the day had been. She thought for a moment and said, "When you told the story about Sarah in your new neighborhood." Marcus nodded. "That story is for all of us," he said. "It reminds us that one small act of kindness can change someone's life." Maya looked up at him. "I want to be like Sarah," she said. Marcus smiled and ruffled her hair. "You already are in so many ways." That evening, as they sat on the porch watching the sunset, Maya leaned her head against her father's shoulder. The sky turned pink and gold, and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves. Maya felt peaceful and happy. The world felt full of promise. Marcus wrapped his arm around her. "I'm proud of you," he said. "You showed courage, kindness, and forgiveness." Maya closed her eyes and let her father's words settle in her heart. In the days that followed, the school buzzed with a new energy. Students greeted each other with smiles. Teachers noticed more helpers in the hallways. And Maya found herself laughing and playing without worry. When she passed by her sunflower painting each morning, she remembered that assembly, her father's words, and her own strength. Maya carried that strength into every class, every game, and every conversation. She learned that even small voices can speak loudly when they speak from the heart. And she knew that with kindness and courage, she could help make her school and her world a kinder place for everyone. Maya woke early, sunlight dancing on the walls of her room. She sat up slowly, smiling to herself. Today was the day of the school's family diversity event. Her heart beat with excitement. She thought of how far she had come since the first day she walked into Sunflower Elementary, feeling afraid and alone. Now she felt strong and happy. Downstairs, Marcus was in the kitchen, stirring pancake batter. He hummed a tune Maya had never heard before, and she giggled as she peeked around the doorframe. "Good morning, my brave girl," he said, scooping batter onto the hot skillet. The pancakes shimmered like golden coins. Stulin watched him carefully flip each one. I can't wait for tonight, Maya said, bouncing with excitement. I want to help set up the tables and hang the decorations. Marcus wiped his hands on a towel and smiled. Thank you for helping, Maya. You have such a kind heart. Ate breakfast together, talking about the food they would bring to share. Marcus would make his famous fruit salad with mango, berries, and melon. Maya would carry her yellow cake pops, shaped like little suns, with sprinkles on top. They laughed as they planned, the kitchen filling with warmth and the promise of a fun evening. When school ended, Maya found her classmates buzzing with energy. Tables lined the schoolyard, each decorated with colorful tablecloths and balloons. One table held books about different cultures. Another offered games from around the world. Bright banners read, "Celebrate our stories, and we are one family." Maya and Marcus worked side by side at the welcome table. Marcus handed out name tags that said friend, and Maya helped guests stick them on their shirts. Students, parents, and teachers arrived, carrying dishes that smelled sweet, spicy, and savory. The air filled with laughter and chatter. First, Principal Owens stepped onto a small platform. She tapped a spoon on a bowl to get everyone's attention. "Welcome, families and friends," she called. "Tonight, we celebrate what makes us unique and what brings us together. Please enjoy the food, share your stories, and most importantly, have fun." Applause rang out. Across the yard, Maya saw Liam waving at her. He held a game called Flag Match, where players connected flags to countries. And soon, a group formed around the table. They cheered when someone named Sweden correctly and laughed when someone guessed Brazil. Maya loved how everyone helped each other. Next, a circle of storytellers gathered under a string of lights. Marcus took Maya's hand and led her to a spot on the grass. He whispered, "Are you ready to hear some wonderful stories?" Maya nodded, her eyes shining. One by one, people stood up and shared memories from their childhoods, the smells of home-cooked meals, the songs sung in their native languages, the special games they played with neighbors. Maya listened, imagining each scene like a picture book in her mind. When it was Marcus's turn, he stood and held Maya close. He spoke gently. "My story began in a small town by the river. My grandmother taught me to dance in the kitchen. While the rice cooked, my father taught me to plant seeds in the garden. My mother taught me to help anyone who needed a hand. These lessons shaped me into who I am today." He paused and looked at Maya. "I brought Maya here so she could learn these lessons and teach them to her friends." The crowd smiled and clapped softly. Maya felt pride bloom in her chest. She looked around and saw faces bright with curiosity and respect. She realized how much people cared about her story. After storytelling, it was time for dancing. A small band started playing music that blended drums, violins, and a flute. The rhythm felt lively and joyful. Marcus lifted Maya into his arms, and they spun together. Soon, others joined. Parents and children, teachers and students, forming a big circle and stepping in time to the beat. Laughter and music filled the night air. Later, a father from another country offered Maya a taste of his homemade dumplings, filled with savory potatoes and cheese. She bit into one and made a happy face. "This is delicious," she said. The father smiled and explained how his grandmother used to make them for him every Sunday. Maya nodded thoughtfully, imagining gathering at a warm kitchen table, sharing stories and food. As the evening wound down, Marcus gathered Maya for one last activity. He handed her a small notebook and a pen. "I want you to write down one thing you learned tonight," he said. Maya thought for a moment and wrote, "Kindness can grow like flowers when we share our stories." She showed it to her father. He nodded and wrapped an arm around her shoulders. "Beautiful," he said. "You have the heart of a writer." Before leaving, Principal Owens came by and gave Maya a sunflower pin. "Thank you for helping make tonight special," she said. Maya pinned it to her dress and smiled. She realized how much the school had changed from a place where she once felt alone to a place where everyone celebrated each other. On the walk home, holding her father's hand, Maya looked up at the stars. Fireflies danced in the grass beside the sidewalk. "Dad," she said softly, "tonight was perfect." Marcus smiled and looked down at her. It was perfect because you shared your story and because we all listened, he said. Maya nodded. She thought of the first day she felt scared, of the moment when her classmates whispered, and of the day her father's words had silenced the room. She knew the power of words to heal and unite. She knew that even small voices, when spoken with courage and kindness, could change the world. That night, as Maya lay in bed, she held her sunflower pin in her hand. She remembered every laugh, every dance, and every story shared. She thought of her father's gentle voice and the promise he had made to protect her and teach others to be kind. She closed her eyes and whispered, "Thank you," feeling safe and loved. In that moment, Maya understood that her journey was only beginning. She would face new challenges, but she knew she would never face them alone. She had her father's love, her friends' support, and the strength she found within herself. And she carried with her the lesson that kindness grows when we share our stories and listen with open hearts. As sleep came, Maya dreamed of fields of sunflowers reaching toward the sun. She saw herself standing among them, tall and bright, her heart full of hope. And in her dream, she heard her father's voice echoing softly, "You belong, my sunflower. Stein on."